welcome back to Phenomena, Season 4, Episode 7. Whoa, we're almost done with Season 4? Where has the time gone? I guess time flies when you're having fun. I mentioned last week's episode that I am a dad, so I strongly stick by that. Anywho, I went to see Panic at the Disco at When We Were Young Fest in Las Vegas, and it was the best thing in the whole world. My best friend Maggie and I bought tickets like a year ago when the lineup came out, and I knew that Panic at the Disco was going to be playing all of A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, start to finish, as well as some of their other amazing songs, and it was so good. We bought tickets for Saturday, and then we were in GA, and it turns out like we just did not get nearly as close as we had hoped, so we ended up finding super cheap bands for Sunday, and then since Panic at the Disco went on at 10 p.m. And that's like really the only person I wanted to see. I'm 32 actually, but in my 30s. I don't know that I can stand around at a festival all day anymore. These old knees. So we ended up finding people that were leaving with VIP bands, and so they were able to give them to us, and it was amazing. So we were essentially, and then we gave our GA bands away. So we were able to, on Sunday, go into VIP and get much, much closer. I'll post a photo of how close we were. It was amazing. Honestly, I feel like Brendon and I made eye contact. We had a mutual understanding that in another world we would be together, but such is not in the cards for us in this timeline. Brendon, Urie, if you see this, you are incredible and amazing, and honestly, just an incredible performer all around. And I aspire to be you someday, except not with singing, because I can't sing. Let's be real. A queen knows her limitations. Also, yesterday when I was adding GIFs, sorry, this is a whole roundabout way. It's very important. Yesterday when I was adding GIFs to the past episode, I said panic a couple times. So I looked up Brendon Urie GIFs on tenor.com, which is where I add my GIFs for the episodes. And if you go on tenor.com and you look up Brendon Urie, tell me what you see. Is it perchance this photo where it says, "Hi, Mimi"? It's actually a GIF. What? I didn't post that. It's taunting me at this point. Okay? This is not even funny. All right? Who made that? Who made that? Make yourselves known, because I know it wasn't me and it wasn't my best friend Maggie. Someone help, because I'm crashing out. This is a simulation, and that GIF just reiterated that for me. Anywho, I'm your host, Mimi Dibs. Thank you so much for coming back. This week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Chupacabra, or El Chupacabra. So pumped for this episode, because it is a cryptid that I have wanted to cover off on for a while. I can't say I know too much about the Chupacabra. I feel like I just know that it means suck goat, and that it sucks goats dry, and that it leaves marks. It's pretty creepy as far as cryptids go. Definitely on the creepier side. It's like it's like a vampire, but there's just something about the image of goats sucked dry that just not a great image. I'm sure for the farmers who have had goats missing and found them completely just deflated like a balloon. Horrifying, but it is very on par with spooky season. And look at my shirt. It has little Snoopy. It says "Stay Spooky." And then I think it has probably Woodstock on there, dressed as a little ghost. And then he's all like, figured I'd bring this shirt out because, hello. It's also kind of red, which is like blood a little bit, right? Anyway, let's get into the Chupacabra. This week's episode was written by our lovely cryptid writer, Griffin. Thank you so much, Griffin. The best at writing the cryptid scripts, and I'm excited to see what he did with this one. So without further ado, the Chupacabra, the vampire of the countryside. Ooh. Meet the Chupacabra. Latin America's unofficial vampire, the goat sucker of legend, and the cryptid that makes livestock think twice before grazing solo. Does livestock know about it? Well, I feel like livestock can sense if something's off, right? So maybe they can sense something's off, but I feel like the Chupacabra's faster, you know what I mean? With glowing eyes, razor fangs, and a look somewhere between a mutant coyote and a rejected Pokemon. Rejected Pokemon? Yeah, it's got big ears from what I picture when I think of Chupacabra. So I don't know. Rejected Pokemon, though, that's wild. The Chupacabra has been haunting rural nightmares since the 1990s. Oh, it's relatively recent then. That's wild. I thought it was I don't know. I thought it's been around for longer than that, but maybe that's when it made its big debut in public domain. But is this creature really draining the blood of goats and chickens? Oh, and chickens! Why is it called Chupacabra then? Cabra means goat. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it decided like chicken blood was a little more lean, like chicken meat is a little more lean. I don't know. Chupacabra's on a diet. All right, that's fine. But is this creature really draining the blood of goats and chickens across the countryside? Or is it just a convenient scapegoat? Pun fully intended. Love it, Griffin. Amazing. For natural predators and mass hysteria. So sharpen your stakes, check your backyard for fang marks, and get ready to uncover the truth behind the monster that keeps farmers and conspiracy theorists up at night. Ooh, yeah. Sharpen your stakes. So I wonder, this makes me wonder if because it is known to suck blood, that people maybe thought that like driving a stake through the Chupacabra's heart or something, much like you would a vampire, would be similar in stopping it or killing it. I don't know. Is it just one? That's always been my like question, is like if Yetis and Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, like is it just one of each of them? Or are they a species that perhaps we've only seen one of every time? I don't know. This is exciting. I'm excited to learn more. A quick pause for Phenomennouncements. This week's Phenomennouncement, I can't believe I haven't shouted this out yet, but Hanosmith Productions, our lovely, amazing creative agency built by Ruben Hano and their husband, Christopher. It is amazing. They're queer-affirming creative agency, and they offer really amazingly priced headshots for the dolls, as well as really anyone who's looking for headshots that, you know, can't like always shell out like $500, $600, $700 for them. They are willing to like work with people to ensure that it works for them, especially if what they're trying to do is within their passion and they're really just they just need some like branding help. They are an amazing agency, and I'm so excited because Christopher had been kind of discussing it with me about how they wanted to start something, and so I'm so happy that they did. And it's so lovely that Christopher and Ruben get to have this project together. It makes me so happy, and they're amazing. They honestly, check them out on Instagram, of course. It's at Hanosmith Productions. I'll put it on the screen as well. Definitely give them a follow. They're amazing. Not only because Ruben is our amazing co-producer, CEO, and script master. That's right. I was like, what's the title I gave them? Script master, because they go through all my scripts before they come to me because I cold read. Not only because it's their brand, but also because it is something that I think is sorely missing in the creative agency space, and that is solutions that are accessible to everyone, not just like big brands or big creators that have tons of disposable income to spend on things like branding, especially because branding for yourself, like headshots and things like that, are so important to even get big in the first place, or to at least come across with a cohesive message, that it's just so important that we have something like that available for smaller creators. So yay, Hanosmith Productions. I love it so much. It's amazing. You might see some phenomenal stuff on there. Well, let's just say we are very good partners in that. Yeah, obviously, we're very good partners, but they're amazing. So check them out. Awesome. Without further ado, let's get into the lore. The word chupacabra comes from Spanish chupar, to suck, and cabra, goat. Knew it. Yo soy como hablar español porque yo vivo en California, entonces todos mis vecinos hablan en español. Y si yo no hablé español, no podía hablar con mis vecinos y todas las otras hispanohablante personas. Entonces, yeah. But yeah, nailed it. So yeah, subtlety was never really the goal. Fair. That checks out. The legend began in 1995. That is so recent. I swear, I thought Chupacabra was around forever. But like the fact that it's more recent actually makes it more interesting, in my opinion, because it's like, is this cryptid in its infancy? Began in 1995 in Puerto Rico, when several livestock were found mysteriously dead, completely drained of blood, with small puncture wounds on their necks. That is so vampiric. That's very vampiric, especially with the whole neck thing. I do think that like vampire-like creatures, or like what we know as far as animals that suck blood, I think are just bats right now, from my understanding. They usually go for the neck because it has like the jugular and stuff, so they can like get to the blood quicker. That makes sense that the puncture wounds were on the necks of the goats. A local woman claimed to have seen the culprit, a reptilian creature with leathery gray skin, spines down its back, and glowing red eyes. This sounds like a demon, like a little gargoyle come to life. actually, literally, that's like what I picture as a gargoyle. That's wild. The media went wild. Suddenly, the chupacabra was everywhere. Newspapers, tabloids, talk shows, you name it. Probably why I kept hearing about it. Sightings started popping up in Mexico, Chile, Brazil, and even across the southern United States. Descriptions changed, too. Some said it walked on 2 legs, others on 4. Maybe just, like if it gets tired, it walks on all 4, but then it when it feels fancy, it walks on 2. I don't know. Both could be true, maybe. Some swore it hopped like a kangaroo. Others claimed it flew. At this point, it was less a monster and more a cryptid moodboard. Yeah. They were just like, glowing red eyes, check. Some sort of wings, sure, let's throw that in there. Leathery skin, got it. We need the leathery skin. Fangs, of course, fangs. Like, it literally just feels like they put together a cryptid moodboard and was like, that checks out. But with this one, like, the thing about the chupacabra is that it has literal victims. Like, with the other cryptids, I don't know any other cryptid really that we can point to, like, its victims and be like, what? Bigfoot stomped on this clearly because it's flattened. You know what I mean? Like, with the chupacabra, you have literal goats sucked dry. And I just can't imagine a bat being big enough to suck a goat dry. Otherwise, if it was like multiple bats, it would have like multiple puncture wounds. But my understanding is it only has like 2 or and I wonder how big the puncture wounds are. I don't know. But one detail never changed. Something was sneaking into farms, leaving behind bloodless animals and lots of confused ranchers. Oh, yeah. I love this. one. Well, there you go. That was a short and quick lore section. I mean, that's really all you need to know, is that where it came from, when it started, what it's been said to have done. With that, let's get into the theories. Ooh. Okay. Number 1, misidentified dogs or coyote with mange. Mange? Like rabies? One of the most common explanations, good old Mother Nature having a bad skin day. Many chupacabra sightings, especially in the US, turned out to be coyotes or wild dogs suffering from mange, a skin disease that makes animals look like fleshy horror movie extras. Oh no, that's terrible. But also, like, are dogs or coyotes known to, like, suck blood? Like, I would think the goats would look like they'd be like torn apart. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's usually like what a wild pack of coyotes or dogs or something would do, is like tear the meat off the bones, not just suck the blood. So that's a little suspicious. Thin, hairless, and nocturnal? Yeah, that's enough to freak any farmer out at 2 a.m. Add in a few livestock killings, which wild dogs do, and voila, instant chupacabra. Good point. I will concede that maybe some of the chupacabra sightings were in fact dogs or coyotes with mange, specifically because it makes them look creepier. But I'm still stuck on the whole blood sucking thing, because what do you mean? How? What? Wouldn't you find like a mangled body of a goat if it was a dog? Riddle me that. Alien explanation. Theory number 2. Alien experiment gone wrong. Some believers go full sci-fi, claiming the chupacabra is the result of alien genetic testing, or maybe a government lab escapee. Oh no, were we trying to recreate Dracula? Or a vampire of some kind? These theories usually come from the creature's unnatural look and the surgical precision of the livestock wounds. It's the X-Files meets Animal Planet, and it has just enough mystery to keep Reddit up at night. Yeah. I feel like I want to dive down rabbit holes of Reddit after this. And I know our whole thing is don't fall down you could explore the rabbit hole. Just don't fall all the way down to where you like lose what you were trying to find in the first place, or like you lose your grip on reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I do want to find out like this whole, like, if they had specific, pieces on or markings on their necks, it's like, how do you explain that? I guess the whole alien thing would make sense, or like alien experiment, right? Or like some sci-fi genetic testing government lab escapee. Maybe they got a coyote with mange and then injected it with like vampire bat DNA. I don't know. Interesting. It's a good theory, though. Theory number 3, vampire bat panic. Ooh, speaking of panic, I love Brendon Urie. I love you so much. In Central and South America, vampire bats are very real. They drink blood, just a few tablespoons. Calm down. Yeah, because they're small. They don't need that much blood to like be able to survive, and can sometimes cause fatal infections in livestock. Some researchers think the earliest chupacabra stories were just bat bites and public hysteria blending together, especially with the media fanning the flames. And how do you explain the fact that the goats were like sucked dry? Because a few tablespoons of blood being drank from a vampire bat doesn't really check out to me, you know? Wouldn't you need more? Or like, what, did all the bats know to specifically go for that same puncture wound that the previous bat made so that it, like there's things that I'm like, what do you mean? That doesn't account for that. But I do think the fact that vampire bats exist is interesting because it's the closest thing to like a vampire that we know because it sucks blood and it like, well, I guess mosquitoes, right? But they're tiny. So there's no way that they would leave a mark unless it's a giant mosquito, which I don't know. South America has some crazy, crazy animals akin to Australia. So you never know. I could see the media really like taking it and running with it. And I wonder if that's why they think that the Chupacabra has like wings too, because of the whole like bat thing. Let me know what you think. Which of these theories is tickling your fancy so far? Ew, I don't like the word. I don't like the idiom tickling the fancy. Not a fan. I don't know why I used it. My apologies. Theory number 4, mass hysteria and cultural echo chamber. Okay. That's fair. We got to throw one mass hysteria in there. Once the Chupacabra went viral, so did the sightings. Experts believe media hype and the social contagion played a huge role. People started looking for monsters, and surprise, surprise, they found them. It's the same recipe behind every good urban legend, a spooky name, some blurry photos, and boom, a global pandemic. Or panic, actually. Panic keeps coming up. Is this a sign? Is this a sign like the whole hi Mimi thing? Because it's too much. I'm still crashing out about it. Global panic with a loyal fan base. Ooh, I know a global panic with a loyal fan base. Panic at the Disco. Yeah. I think there's definitely some of the. I'm not opposed to the idea that it could be like a little bit of this, a little bit of that type of thing. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like in that, some of the sightings could be goats or not goats, coyotes or dogs with mange. And then some of them are like vampire bats. But I don't know, man. Like, I guess in the 90s, did they not take any clear photos of the markings on the goats or the goats that have been sucked dry? Because that's, I think, the most compelling evidence. If there is one, I should probably look into it. But if there is like a compelling photo of a goat that is like deflated, so to speak, like how would you explain that? What could possibly cause that? If not the Chupacabra, huh? And then what is the Chupacabra, No, maybe it's I mean, I'm almost leaning toward the whole like government lab escapee, like alien experiment thing, because it's like, it really does seem to be a mix of a lot of these, like a coyote with mange injected with vampire bat DNA of some sort that makes it only look out for blood. I don't know. I feel like I'm starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist, which, we are women in STEM. We believe in science, and I will always, make sure that we don't entirely fall down the rabbit hole and ensure that we keep one foot in reality at all times. But it's fun to explore the possibility of an alien or government lab escapee. I don't know. Clearly, we don't know. That's why it's a phenomenon. Yeah, let me know which of these theories rings true for you the most, because I'm kind of torn. I don't know. So, what is the truth, or our take on the truth? So, is the Chupacabra real? Probably not. Dead. In the blood-sucking beast sense, anyway, most evidence points to known animals, usually sick or scavenging ones. And those stories about blood-drained livestock? Turns out, after death, blood can pool or leak in weird ways, especially when predators have already had a few bites. So, not exactly paranormal. Ah, okay, that explains it. That makes sense. Okay, interesting. Like, if animals have already punctured another animal in a certain way, then the blood will like pool to the bottom maybe, and it gives the appearance that it looks like deflated of blood. That makes sense. Okay, that was kind of the answer I was looking for in terms of like why or how could these goats and chickens and whatever look like they've been sucked dry of their blood, but it's like that makes sense. But the legend still means something. The Chupacabra taps into our oldest fears, the unknown, the quiet of the countryside at night, and the human instinct to explain what we don't understand with something that has claws, fangs, and glowing red eyes. Ooh, Mothman, anyone? I know glowing red eyes when I see them. No, that's a very good point, because the Chupacabra, there's a reason it took off as a cryptid. Like, I don't think really any other cryptids have been known to have this vampiric kind of, feature to them. I don't know if feature is the right word. And honestly, stray dog with mange just doesn't sell t-shirts. That's fair. That's a good point. But I do think that's how, like, the whole idea of it walking on 4 legs or walking on 2 legs came about, So, what do you think? Is the Chupacabra a cryptid vampire, a manged coyote, or just a misunderstood media icon with a killer name? Yeah, honestly, the branding on Chupacabra is chef's kiss. It's really good. Chupacabra just sounds so, like, I don't know. There's like I could just picture it. I think it's very, I think it's a great name, to be honest, because, like, suck goat. It sucks goats dry. I don't know. I feel like it's the only vampiric cryptid around, if I'm not mistaken, except for, like, Dracula himself. But I wonder if, is Dracula a phenomenon? Some people suggested it might be because, like, the whole Transylvania thing. I think there was a count that lived in Transylvania that, like, people spread rumors about as having been the first Count Dracula. And that's kind of where that story came about. Like, it was, like, based on, like, somewhat of a true character. So maybe we'll look into that. But as far as, like, cryptids, like animalistic cryptids go, I would say Chupacabra is the only, like, vampiric one, right? Let me know. Whether you're Team Alien, yes, Team Alien Lab Experiment, or Team Dog, also fair. One thing's for sure, the Chupacabra isn't going anywhere. Oh yeah, I can't imagine. I feel like it would just get bigger over time if it's, like, relatively somewhat of a new-ish cryptid. I don't know. Let's keep the Chupacabra alive. Why don't people dress up as the Chupacabra for Halloween? There you go. There's your next Halloween idea. I feel like we gotta make sure that its reputation precedes it. You know what I mean? It's got a pretty crazy reputation. If I'm not gonna lie, just a bunch of just goats left on the countryside. That's wild and crazy. And if you ever hear something rustling outside your window late at night, don't panic. It's probably just a raccoon, probably, depending on where you live. Wow. That's great. Well done, Griffin. That was an awesome script. And I definitely learned a lot more about where the Chupacabra came from and, like, how it came about and how it blew up and acquired its fame, so to speak, and what it most likely is, or maybe is a combination of. Who knows? Maybe someone was doing experiments on a mange dog to try to heal it. Oh, no, that reminds me of the Full Metal Alchemist episode with the dog girl, with the guy that turns his daughter into a dog. Oh, that one. I think I've definitely mentioned that episode on a phenomena, or that Futurama. Nope, I'm getting so confused. That Full Metal Alchemist episode on a phenomena episode before. The reason I said Futurama is because I also mentioned the dog that Fry had in one of the episodes that just, like, waits for him to come back. It's so sad. We don't deserve dogs. It could just be a raccoon. Or if you see anything with weird fang marks and something that looks to be sucked dry of its blood, maybe it's a Chupacabra. Who knows? Awesome. Quick reminder, use our Expedia affiliate link at expedia.com/affiliate/phenomena/season4 to book your next trip to anywhere, but especially if you're going to the South American countryside or the Mexican countryside or any countryside, really. Preferably if it's hispanohablante in a country or a ciudad que es hispanohablante, porque Chupacabra es una palabra que es en español. Entonces, yeah. But, as always, as mentioned, you can use it to book any trip anywhere, really. Yay, pokepic for this week's episode. I'm so excited. This is so many spooky things at the same, like, back to back to back to back spookiness. I love it. It's great because it's spooky season. And yes, so this week's pokepic is Lycanroc. Ooh, the midnight form. Nice. Lycanroc, the wolf Pokemon. I like this. This is like, now I'm wondering, is the werewolf a cryptid? The werewolf is more on par with, like, vampires, in my opinion. So this makes sense, especially because one of the leading theories is that it's a dog or a coyote that has mange. So also, when we chose, I think I posted this on the Patreon, when we chose Zoroark, I was wondering if we were going to choose Lycanroc, and I couldn't think of Lycanroc, the name of Lycanroc, but I'm glad we ended up choosing it. Anyway, that's great. Pokedex entry. This Lycanroc has an extremely vicious temperament. It will happily sustain injuries for the sake of taking down its opponent. See, it sounds so similar to Zoroark, right? But I looked up, like, is Zoroark and Lycanroc, like, are they mortal nemesis? And they're not, apparently. So I don't know where I thought I got that. There's definitely some Pokemon like Groudon and Kyogre, for example, that obviously like have been known to fight each other and have been at odds or whatever in the Pokemon universe. But I guess Lycanroc and Zoroark are just like two Pokemon cut from the same cloth. They're the same. They have the same temperament, the same viciousness, and clearly don't care to get mangled or destroyed while taking down its opponent. It just cares about shedding the blood of its opponent. That's wild. Nice. That's a great pokepic. I love this. Yay! Yay, Lycanroc. I'm so glad we chose Lycanroc. That's great. And it kind of walks like a Chupacabra in a way, right? It's got like I feel like Lycanroc can be on its hind legs, but also sometimes on all four. Got that battered dog look about it. I didn't realize that the Chupacabra like looked more like a dog. I thought it had like really big ears. I guess maybe it does. Or maybe it's like a dog bat. I don't know. Let me know what you think the Chupacabra looks like. We, as always, as mentioned, we have an email, phenomena.cases@gmail.com. Feel free to email us with your phenomena stories that we go over at the end of each season. Your personal phenomena stories, if you've ever seen the Chupacabra or any other cryptid, or if you have any stories from your family that has been passed down about any of these cryptids, definitely let me know. Just mentioning that phenomena.cases is our Gmail, but on all of our other platforms, our account is Phenomena Podcast, because we are indeed a podcast. We also have a Patreon that you can show your support for the pod and get access to some awesome extras, as well as the Discord. So Patreon has two tiers, three tiers technically, a free tier, a $2 tier, and a $5 tier. And honestly, any amount of, donation helps if you feel like you would like to help support the podcast, seeing as we cannot monetize just yet. We're working on it. Definitely feel free to stream any of the playlists and just have it on in the background on mute so that we can rack up the watch time hours, because that is really, that's what's gatekeeping us, I guess, from monetizing, but hopefully soon. The Discord link is pinned at the top of the Patreon, and for the free Patreon, I always post the pokepic for the last week's episode, as well as my favorite GIF. And then for the paid Patreon tiers, we have some great bonuses, like the audio version, or the podcast only version, I guess, of the episodes. We also have the podcast version on like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that. And obviously, YouTube, if you use that to listen to podcasts, then that's great as well. Wanted to just give some people like my mom, who's technologically interesting, let's say that, the access to the audio without having to like try to figure out how to get a Spotify like login and stuff. So I post that on there, as well as an extra reel and our new spin-off series, Phenomena Seance. The episodes for that go live on Patreon 1 week before they go public on YouTube and Patreon for all the tiers, including the free tier. So some fun, little perks that I wanted to provide for people that feel like they can provide us with the perk of a donation every month. New episodes come out every Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST. And next time on Phenomena, we'll be talking about the Mandela effect. Yes, the Mandela effect. I have wondered about whether or not I should include this, because it seems so broad, but it is a phenomenon, because it's like, I feel like it's so similar to deja vu, I guess, but deja vu happens like right away, whereas the Mandela effect will like almost rewrite memories in a way. I'm sure everyone knows what the Mandela effect is, and the fact that it's called the Mandela effect because of the whole Nelson Mandela thing, about how he went to prison and died in prison, but then like that's not true because he got let out of prison at some point. So then people were like, wait, what? I distinctly remember being told, yeah, he died in prison. So I wonder why it's called the Mandela effect. And like whether or not the Nelson Mandela thing was the beginning. Was that the beginning of our split universe realities and whatnot? I'm sure that's going to be one of the theories, is like parallel universe stuff. So yeah, let's get weird next episode. Let's get mental. Let's get absolutely mental. Yeah. All right. Perfect. So definitely feel free to tune in for next week's episode. It should be fun. And remember, you can always explore the rabbit hole without falling all the way down. Foot in reality at all times. Stay vigilant, and I will see you next week. Bye.